Anatomy Exam Preparation for Medicine Students Part 1. Which artery supplies the majority of the brain's blood flow?
The correct answer is the middle cerebral artery. This artery is a critical branch of the internal carotid artery and is responsible for supplying blood to a significant portion of the cerebral cortex, particularly the lateral aspects of the frontal, parietal, and temporal lobes. These regions are essential for functions like movement, sensory processing, language, and auditory processing. The middle cerebral artery also supplies parts of the basal ganglia and internal capsule, which are vital for motor control and coordination. Its clinical significance is evident in stroke cases, as occlusion of this artery often leads to severe deficits, such as hemiparesis or aphasia, depending on whether the dominant or non-dominant hemisphere is affected. Other arteries, like the vertebral and basilar arteries, contribute to brain perfusion, but mainly supply the brainstem, cerebellum, and posterior portions of the cerebrum. Understanding the role of the middle cerebral artery helps contextualize its importance in maintaining brain function.
Which muscle is primarily responsible for flexion at the elbow joint?
The correct answer is the brachialis. While many people assume the biceps brachii is the main flexor, the brachialis is actually the primary muscle responsible for flexing the elbow joint. Located beneath the biceps brachii, the brachialis originates from the distal anterior surface of the humerus and inserts onto the ulnar tuberosity and coronoid process of the ulna. Its function is crucial because it flexes the forearm regardless of the forearm's position, whether supinated or pronated. In contrast, the biceps brachii is more active in supinated positions and also contributes to forearm supination. This distinction makes the brachialis a workhorse for elbow flexion in daily activities and emphasizes its role in upper limb mechanics.
Which bone forms the posterior portion of the hard palate?
The correct answer is the palatine bone. The hard palate is composed of two bones, the maxilla, which forms the anterior two-thirds, and the palatine bones, which form the posterior one-third. The palatine bones are L-shaped and contribute not only to the hard palate, but also to the walls of the nasal cavity and a small part of the orbital floor. The horizontal plates of the palatine bones meet at the midline to form the posterior hard palate. This structure is essential for separating the oral and nasal cavities, which allows for proper swallowing and speech. In contrast, the maxilla primarily forms the anterior portion of the hard palate, while the vomer and zygomatic bones are unrelated to the palate structure. This anatomical arrangement is critical for maintaining efficient airflow during respiration and preventing food from entering the nasal passages during eating.
What structure separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity?
The correct answer is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped sheet of skeletal muscle that plays a vital role in respiration. It separates the thoracic cavity, which houses the lungs and heart, from the abdominal cavity, which contains organs like the stomach, liver, and intestines. When the diaphragm contracts during inhalation, it flattens, increasing the thoracic cavity's volume and reducing pressure, which allows air to flow into the lungs. Conversely, during exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and resumes its dome shape, reducing thoracic volume and aiding in expelling air. Its anatomical attachments include the xiphoid process of the sternum, the costal cartilages of the lower ribs, and the lumbar vertebrae. Openings within the diaphragm, such as the esophageal hiatus, aortic hiatus, and caval opening, allow passage of structures like the esophagus, aorta, and inferior vena cava, highlighting its complex yet essential role in human anatomy.
Which cranial nerve is responsible for the sense of smell?
The correct answer is the olfactory nerve or cranial nervi. This nerve is purely sensory and is responsible for transmitting olfactory information from the nasal cavity to the brain. The olfactory nerve originates in the nasal mucosa, where specialized olfactory receptor cells detect chemical odorants. These signals are then transmitted through tiny holes in the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone to the olfactory bulb, which processes the information and sends it to the olfactory cortex in the brain. Unlike other cranial nerves, the olfactory nerve is unique in its ability to regenerate following damage, thanks to the presence of basal cells in the olfactory epithelium. This nerve is crucial for the sense of smell, which also plays a significant role in taste perception and environmental awareness.
Which ligament prevents hyperextension of the knee joint?
The correct answer is the anterior cruciate ligament, ACL. The ACL is one of the four main ligaments in the knee and is located within the joint capsule. It originates from the anterior intercondylar area of the tibia and attaches to the posterior part of the inner surface of the lateral femoral condyle. The ACL prevents the tibia from sliding too far forward relative to the femur and restricts hyperextension and rotational movements that could destabilize the knee. Its role is crucial in activities that involve sudden stops, changes in direction, or jumping, which is why ACL injuries are common in sports. Other ligaments, such as the posterior cruciate ligament, PCL, primarily prevent backward displacement of the tibia, while the medial and lateral collateral ligaments stabilize the knee laterally. This intricate system of ligaments ensures knee stability and proper joint mechanics.
Which part of the nephron is primarily responsible for reabsorbing water?
The correct answer is the loop of Henle. Specifically, the descending limb of the loop of Henle is highly permeable to water. As the filtrate passes through this segment, water is reabsorbed into the surrounding medullary interstitium due to the osmotic gradient created by the countercurrent multiplication system. The loop of Henle also has an ascending limb, which is impermeable to water but actively reabsorbs ions like sodium, potassium, and chloride, further contributing to the osmotic gradient. This dual mechanism is essential for concentrating urine and conserving water, especially in states of dehydration. Other parts of the nephron, such as the proximal convoluted tubule, also reabsorb water, but not to the same degree or through the same mechanism as the loop of Henle. The distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct are more involved in fine-tuning water and electrolyte balance under hormonal control, such as by antidiuretic hormone, ADH.
What is the main function of the myelin sheath?
The correct answer is insulation and faster nerve impulse conduction. The myelin sheath is a lipid-rich layer that wraps around the axons of neurons, produced by oligodendrocytes in the central nervous system and Schwann cells in the peripheral nervous system. This sheath acts as an insulator, preventing the loss of electrical signals as they travel along the axon. It also facilitates saltatory conduction, where action potentials jump from one node of Ranvier to the next. These nodes are small gaps in the myelin sheath where ion channels are concentrated, allowing the rapid propagation of signals compared to unmyelinated fibers. Damage to the myelin sheath, as seen in conditions like multiple sclerosis, slows or blocks nerve impulse conduction, leading to neurological symptoms such as muscle weakness and sensory disturbances. This highlights the critical role of myelin in maintaining the efficiency and speed of the nervous system.
What is the anatomical term for the thumb?
The correct answer is pollex. The term pollex refers specifically to the first digit of the hand, commonly known as the thumb. The thumb is unique among the digits because it is opposable, meaning it can rotate and touch the tips of the other fingers, a key feature in human dexterity. The skeletal structure of the thumb consists of two phalanges, proximal and distal, unlike the other fingers, which have three. The thumb's movement is controlled by several muscles, including the flexor pollicis longus, abductor pollicis brevis, and opponens pollicis, which are part of the thenar group. The opposability and strength of the thumb make it indispensable for tasks requiring grip and fine motor skills, from writing to manipulating tools. Its anatomy is a perfect example of evolution favoring functional adaptations for survival.
Which part of the brain is primarily responsible for balance and coordination?
The correct answer is the cerebellum. The cerebellum, located at the back of the brain beneath the occipital lobes, plays a crucial role in maintaining balance, coordination, and fine motor control. It integrates sensory input from the inner ear, visual system, and proprioceptive signals from muscles and joints to adjust motor activity in real time. For example, when you walk on uneven terrain, the cerebellum processes this sensory information and helps you maintain balance by coordinating muscle movements. Damage to the cerebellum can result in ataxia, a condition characterized by uncoordinated movements, tremors, and difficulty with balance. This underscores the cerebellum's importance in performing even the simplest physical tasks with precision and stability.
Thank you for listening. If our podcast has been valuable to you, we would greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating and write a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or subscribe, like, and share on our YouTube channel. Your support helps us greatly with discoverability. We hope to see you soon.